Appreciate everybody coming. First up today is the South Carolina Gamecocks. Gamecocks 27-4 overall. They're 14-2 in the SEC this year. SEC regular season champions, also the SEC tournament champions, #1 seed in the Stockton Regional. Joining us today, head coach Don Staley, student athletes Asia Wilson and Kaela Davis. Their SID is Diana Koval. We will use the traditional NCAA tournament format for the press conference. Opening statement from Coach Staley. We'll open it up for questions for the student athletes, dismiss them, and then take questions for Coach Staley. So, Coach, please make an opening statement.
Just want to congratulate all the teams and welcome them to Columbia, South Carolina, and hope they have a tremendous time here in Columbia, except when they play us.
Open it up for questions for the student athletes. Please raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you. Get Josh in front.
Why are you looking like you lost your bet? Why are you looking like you lost your bet?
In lieu of David, Asia, do you feel like you understand what you want to / need to do differently with Elena out since you've had some experience with it the last few games?
Yes, sir. I think the last few games in the SEC tournament really kind of showed me what I need to do and how we need to play in order to move on and to continue to win.
How is that in your mind?
I mean, it's just like I've always said, just kind of having the guards hit shots that'll open it up for the paint, and just attacking the paint. Honestly, just whether it's driving, whether it's getting into our post players, just pounding it inside. I mean, it's really nothing different that we haven't been doing in the past. It's just instead of 2 posts, we might go 1 post, or we might still have 2 posts. So it's really nothing different. It's just the only part that we're really missing, and Coach would always say it, is just the rebounding inside of it. And that's something that I know I need to work on, and the team that we're working on. So, I mean, it's nothing really different from the past. It's just a matter of now we really have to execute it.
Is it more on you? Do you feel like it's more on you? Pressure, more responsibility, whatever?
I don't think so. I don't feel it. It could be, but I definitely don't feel it. I give it all to my teammates. They help me not feel it because they're holding up their side of the
bargain.
Yeah, of it all. So, yeah. There you go.
This is for both of you along those same lines. Do you think that the difficult challenge of getting to the Final Four has become that much tougher because you don't have Elena?
Yes, I do think just making it to the Final Four with or without Elena is a tough road to go to. I know my freshman year, it was not easy at all. It wasn't easy getting there because it's just you just never know. It's March Madness, you never know. But yes, it is tough when you have a big part of your program not being able to participate in the way that she can. But I mean, we just have to fight through and continue to do us. I don't think. Some things have changed, but at the same time, our goal hasn't changed and our mindset hasn't changed. So I think as long as that haven't changed, we just got to push through.
Kaela, do you want to add to that?
No, I second that.
Jeffrey.
Asia, does having Elena out, do you have to be a little more careful on the defensive end to make sure you don't get into foul trouble? And does it take away a little bit of your aggressiveness on that side of the court?
Yes, I do have to be a lot more careful. I mean, when Elena was here, I also had to stay out of foul trouble. But I think with her being out, I have to focus on that a lot more. I've been put in those situations sometime, but now I know that I sometimes have to let stuff go, and that's really not in me. But I mean, it's just a part of the game that I have to learn, and I just got to grow from it.
Josh in front.
Kaela, does it help the team's preparation because you've had several games now where you had to play without Elena, so you kind of know what you have to do now in her absence?
Yeah, for sure. I think the SEC tournament was a good test for us. With not really knowing her status and if she was going to be here or not. I think we all were, hopeful that she would return. But, like I said, I think it was a good test for us, and I think we kind of passed the test a little bit. But we definitely know what we need to do going into the tournament and just stay solid like we were.
Josh.
For both of the players, how much do you expect to, or have you heard about Syracuse, and what sort of factor will that be in the next few weeks?
Oh, I haven't heard anything, really, honestly. I don't think they're going to be a factor yet. I mean, if we meet them, if we see them, of course, we'll have to attack that when that comes, but I haven't paid any mind to it.
In terms of how last year ended, though, will that be motivation for you guys?
Oh, yeah. Every loss for me is motivation, especially that one. But like I said, we'll just have to attack it when it gets there. But I think it will be motivation. I think, yeah, like I said, any loss would be motivation. So most definitely that will.
Go ahead, Gene.
Asia, what about missing Elena's not physical participation, but just sort of her leadership on the court and around the bench during a game and in the locker room and stuff like that?
It's tough, but we just have to pick her up with all the missing pieces. I feel like we have people that can fill in those roles as well. I feel like we're all good leaders on the team, and I think we help each other a lot when things may not be going our way, when things may be tough, like in the Mississippi State game when they went up. I think we really came together as a team, and we really all played our roles the right way, and we got the win. So it is tough filling in that gap, but we find a way.
To the back, Mike.
Asia, what does it take? What is the makeup of a team that can get to the Final Four or make a deep run in the NCAA tournament? And do you think this team has that intangible and tangible aspect?
Yes, I do. I think we do have it. But I think the thing that it takes the most is, like Coach would always say, discipline. I think the team has to be disciplined in all aspects of the game, and mentally, physically, emotionally. You just have to be disciplined and stick to your game plan and execute it. Freshman year, I just remember that was being our biggest thing, was we were disciplined. We followed everything. We executed everything that got us there. Of course, we came up short, and we hate that. But just the feeling and just being there, it's a good feeling. So I think with discipline and sacrifice and just love for the game and something that we all have, and just heart, just playing with heart, I think it'll get us very far. And I think we have those things, and we're starting to have them. I don't know if are we disciplined, Coach?
Sometimes.
See? So we getting there.
Brian.
For either or both of you, I don't know how much y'all have had a chance to dive in, but what have y'all seen from UNC Asheville on film?
I mean, they play hard. I think that's the biggest thing is, you know, they're kind of in a similar situation as we are. They lost some starters to injuries. But, I mean, they were the 7th seed in their tournament and beat the 1 seed in the championship game and win the whole conference tournament. So they have a ton of confidence. You know, they're just a team that plays really, really hard, you know, no matter who's in front of them. You know, they share the ball well. They finish, you know, they work on finishing the ball well, and they move really well when they're not. I guess when they stop dribbling, they try to pivot around you a lot and get to the rim. So, you know, they're crafty players, and, you know, they're smart players. So, you know, it's just something we got to be ready for.
Good. Ben.
Asia, you kind of mentioned discipline. Does that factor in a little more in kind of the 116 type matchup?
Oh yes, most definitely. I think this is the time where people kind of, the higher seeds may think they have it, and the lower seeds like, hey, we have nothing to lose. We're just gonna go out here and win, and try to beat this team. So I think discipline does play a huge factor in a 116 matchup because it's anybody's game. Basketball is a funny game, and it teaches you a lot, and so it's just something you have to be disciplined with, and you got to be disciplined with our game plan. And I know they're gonna come out, like Kay said, they play really hard. And we have to match their intensity, match their energy, and just go out there and continue to do us.
Yeah, Josh in front.
Asia, I guess in theory, the WNBA would be an option for you. Is it weird that we don't ask you that all the time? I think, you know, in the men's game with football players, we'd be asking a player of your stature, are you going or are you staying? Has anybody ever asked you that?
I don't think so. I think because they know I have a year left, honestly, but I haven't really received that question from multiple people.
She's not eligible.
Yeah.
She's not?
I can't.
Thankfully, she's got a late birthday.
Yeah.
She's a baby.
Squash that.
Sorry to get your hopes up.
One more year.
Any other questions for the student athletes? No more questions? Go ahead and go.
Escape that one.
Right. See y'all next year.
Take questions now for Coach Staley. Hey, Josh.
The Syracuse question for you, how do you handle the way that last year ended and what it might mean for motivation for the next few weeks?
Well, I mean, somewhat of a different team, especially not having Elena Coates available to play. Just very little makeup of our team experienced that on the court. So I don't know if it hits them as hard as it hit the seniors that graduated in Asia and Elena. But this is a new team, with a new outlook, and we want to experience better memories and things that we are in control of. We are in control of our own destiny, and sometimes you do have to look back on some of the stumbling blocks that took place, just to ward off any doubt creeping in, or makes us pay close attention to details. And this team has been very detail oriented, especially not having the services of Elena Coates. So in a lot of ways, it's good for us because we have their attention and they know what we need to do because of the void left by Elena.
Do you refer back specifically to that game?
I don't.
You don't mention that game.
I don't. I mean, we have 4 losses that we can, draw on that our team has experienced throughout this particular season.
Let's go to the back of the room.
Coach, just kind of dovetailing off of that with Elena out, how different does it make your team more so in a positive way? Because it gives opportunities for guards, to make more plays, maybe a little more spacing for them as well.
I mean, we're different. Obviously, we could play a little more freer as far as space people out a little bit. Create a little more driving lanes. Not having the 2 bigs in there, clogging up the paint. Where we, probably suffer a little bit more is from a rebounding standpoint and defensively. Lay did a great job at housing the paint and protecting the paint for us. But we can also fly around out there. We can press a little bit more. We can switch a little bit more because we're smaller, and I think it just makes us a little more versatile on both sides of the ball.
Jeffrey.
Dawn, you hang around coaches enough, you learn they really don't like distractions. And it seems like you've had several of them in the couple of weeks between the SEC tournament and now. You being named USA coach, Elena's injury, and the whole Stockton, California regional thing that's become very public. Are you worried at all that there have been a lot of distractions and how your team may react to what's these 2 weeks between games?
No, I think as anything that you do in sports or whatever profession, you have to compartmentalize your life, and you have to give certain things energy when it deserves energy, and then when it doesn't, you put the energy what's on your plate. Everything else is secondary to what we're doing today. That's with our players as well as with our coaching staff. So our concentration is now on the NCAA tournament and UNC Asheville, and making sure that we are staying in character and approaching things as we approach the 31 games that we've played.
Stay in the back.
Coach, can you speak to, I guess, the sense of urgency this team has now? I mean, you guys have been in this position before, but again, this is a new team. Talk about just the sense of urgency this team has, knowing that it's win or go home now.
I think what's taking place is you have players who really are enjoying this journey, like a Kaela Davis and Alicia Gray, who Alicia's made long runs into the tournament. Kayla's experiencing it, I think for the second time. So I think with them, they sat out all season long last year, and they're just chomping at the bit to play. And then we're tapping into that energy of wanting to continue to play. And I think they've done a tremendous job at impacting our game on both sides of the ball. But our entire team, they're focused in and ready to make a long run. And making a long run, you have to stay in the moment and make sure that you're not overlooking anyone. And this team has never done that. They've always been an in-the-moment type of team, and we look forward to the challenges of the tournament.
Let's go to Rick and then Mike.
Don, what's the biggest void created by Elena's absence? Is it, the fact that you're going to be missing that double-double, or her NCAA tournament experience this weekend?
Well, you can't just point to one thing because she's meant so much to us. But if I had to just take one tangible thing, it's probably the rebounding. She is, an incredible rebounder, in and out of her area. And we, if you looked at the stats from the SEC tournament, we got out rebounded, 2 out of the 3 games. And it took every bit of, the fourth quarter to even, win by 1 against the rebounding battle by 1 against Mississippi State. So that has been our concentration over the past couple of days, to making sure that we're not giving opponents extra possessions.
Let's go to Mike in the back, and then Gene.
Don, you hear the rhetoric all the time that teams, especially coaches who have had a lot of NCAA tournament experience, that helps their team, to make these long tournament runs. Do you agree with that? And how much does your maybe playing and coaching experience help this team this year?
Well, I think just my experience as, maintaining. I don't get too high with the highs or too low with the lows. And I think, I give that off to our team. They're not, a team in which looks ahead. We just stay in the moment, and we try to keep them as normal as possible. And that's probably one of the biggest things in going into a tournament, is just to make sure your team is focused in on the task at hand and not get outside of that moment. And they enjoy it. We want them to enjoy it and not, be so tight that, they can't perform at a high level.
Go to Gene here in front, and then Brian.
Don, is Elena around today, and will she be around for the weekend? And how hard was that for you to have that talk with her, where you guys finally decided she wasn't going to be able to play, in the tournament?
Well, we're going to, our medical staff, wants to make sure, first and foremost, Elena is okay, for her longevity in basketball. So, if they think it's best that she rehabs and, stays off of it, because if you saw her at the SEC tournament, she probably hurt herself more cheering for us on the bench than she did, actually getting in the game. So we'll see how that goes. It's a hard conversation because, someone that's been a mainstay in your program, a program changer and a program impactor, to not have her, and she ends her career here on a sour note just through injury, it's hard, but you also have to, look at the bright side. She's going to have a long, incredible professional career where she'll be able to take care of her family and hopefully make a couple of donations back to her program. It was a hard conversation, but she knows it's part of the game. If you play long enough, you're going to be injured at some point. It is, knowing that we have a great medical staff to get her back, mending properly.
Brian, and then Josh.
Coach, I know she was in the league as an assistant, but how much have you paid attention to what Coach Kirkpatrick's been able to do at UNC Asheville over the years?
Well, I haven't, except we end up playing them, and then you delve a little deeper into what she's been able to do, and she's had injuries this year, and she's found her way back into the NCAA tournament. I think she's drawn on her experiences playing in one of the toughest, or coaching in one of the toughest conferences in the country, which is the SEC. So she's got her team playing at a high level and playing under adverse moments throughout the season, and that's the mark of a great coach, to get your players to play and to do probably the unthinkable thing, which is win their conference tournament under those circumstances.
Josh. Then Ben.
When you lost Elena, do you go to Asia and say, I need X, Y, and Z more from you, or do you think that she's veteran enough that she figures it out, she knows it on her own?
Well, I don't like adding more pressure to, situations. What we do is we devise a plan in which we put her in her comfort spots where she doesn't have to think. She just plays off of what she naturally does, which is, for us, just creating more, opportunities in her, in her comfort areas, her strengths on the basketball court. And then we practice certain things. We try to simulate. We've simulated, her being in foul trouble, early in the basketball game. We kind of prep her for the things that she may face in this tournament, and that's, that leads to comfort and less pressure.
Go over here to Ben.
With kind of the quick turnaround in this tournament format, do you guys as a staff do any pre-prep for a second-round opponent, look ahead a little bit, or is it just all focus on Asheville and then kind of a rush as soon as that game ends?
No, I have, our staff has been working 24 hours. I have the scout on Michigan State and Arizona State. So we're prepared for the first and second rounds, and we're working, big picture, we're working to get ready for, the next rounds. We have to do that as a staff and not get caught off guard with anybody. We don't leave any stone unturned. So we're ready to make a run.
Jennifer?
Dawn, how vital is it to keep Asia out of foul trouble? Can you afford to have her sitting on the bench for most of the second quarter if she grabs a couple early?
We cannot. I mean, she's a big part of what we do. We're thin in the post anyway, with just having two in Asia and Kiki. But we've played small ball a lot over the past couple of weeks, and we won't be afraid to do that. But we certainly need her on the floor for obvious reasons on both sides of the ball, and her ability to lead, because that's probably the intangible thing that people don't always see. We see the tangible, the rebounding, the points, the block shots, but she's probably our most vocal player on the floor, and we need that, at all times.
Josh?
Would you like to see a point where people are asking your junior stars when they're legally old enough about leaving early? Would that be a positive milestone for the game where the WNBA reached that point?
Well, I've heard the rumblings, from WNBA personnel, because we do have a few players who are eligible for the WNBA draft this upcoming spring. I think they've afforded themselves an opportunity to continue their playing careers. Whether or not they elect to go is a conversation that we'll have to have after the season.
Is it any sort of milestone for the WNBA if they're prominent enough that they can start attracting players from situations like this? Would that be a good thing for basketball overall?
Well, it's, I think it would be a good thing overall for women's basketball, because for 20 years now, we have an outlet for our players to play here in the United States. And, the more prevalent you make it, the more, dreams can come true for little girls, because, our game is a lot better because we've had, WNBA and, the ABL a few years ago. Dreams are being realized, and the game is a lot better because little girls are getting exposed to basketball at a really high level.
Gene?
Don, women have made some cool breakthroughs in the NBA, assistant coach and, refs and stuff. Do you think there'll be a time when there's a woman head coach in the NBA or major college men's basketball?
I think so. I think because, Becky Hammon is breaking down some barriers. And I think you can see that our game has, incredible coaches in it. I think it's just opportunity. When given the opportunity, you rise to the occasion. And just because, there's a gender involved doesn't mean that it detracts from, what you have cerebrally. We got some great coaching minds that's in our game, and given the opportunity, I think we'll excel.
So the obvious question: at some point, way down the line, or whenever, would you ever want to do that?
way down the line, maybe. Maybe. I want to be the best in my profession. And if that's crossing gender lines and going to the NBA, why not? Why not? I'm here to grow. I want to grow. I want to continue to learn. And in order for you to do that, you're going to have to cross over at some point. But, my focus right now is making a long run in this tournament and sending our big girl off the right way.
Brian.
You alluded to it earlier, but what does UNC Asheville bring to the fold, or what have you seen?
Very well coached basketball team. They like ball screen action, and they do. They get to the rim. They get the ball in the paint. And something that I see that their guards do a lot is they like to get to 2 feet and step through and force your defense to be disciplined. And that's something that's probably a little bit different than what we've seen. So I'm looking forward to our players being able to accept that challenge of being disciplined on the defensive side of the ball.
Any other questions for Coach Staley? None? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.